Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a concept that could fundamentally change how you think about your business, and it comes from entrepreneur Alex Hormozi. It's an incredible story of hitting absolute rock bottom and then discovering one single idea that changes literally everything.
So let's set the scene. It's Christmas Eve 2016. Alex Hormozi is at his lowest point. He's supposed to be watching a movie with his girlfriend Layla and her family, but he's not. He's just staring blankly at the screen. His heart is hammering in his chest, over 100 beats per minute. He's absolutely terrified.
Later that day, he breaks. He finally turns to Layla and says this. He felt completely defeated, embarrassed, like a total failure. He was convinced his life, as he knew it, was completely over.
And this image, wow, it tells you everything you need to know. Just a few hours before he took this screenshot, that account had more than $23,000 in it. But a payment processor was holding $120,000 of his money, and he still owed a salesman a $22,000 commission. So he did what he felt was the right thing. He wired away his last dollars, leaving him with this.
And you have to understand, this wasn't just a one-off bad day. No, this was the climax of an absolutely disastrous 30-day period. His partner had stolen all his life savings from the sale of his gyms. His mom was in the hospital fighting for her life. He'd survived a major car crash, and on top of it all, he was basically homeless. It was a perfect storm of failure.
So just imagine that. He's offering Layla an out, telling her he's a sinking ship. And she responds with this. Even though his entire world had collapsed, professionally and personally, she stood by him. And that moment, that unwavering belief, it really set the stage for one of the most incredible business turnarounds you can imagine.
Okay, so how in the world do you come back from that? How do you go from total failure to just massive success? For Hormozi, the answer wasn't some complex, multi-point strategy. It all came down to a single, incredibly powerful idea he learned years before.
Picture this. He's just 23 years old, right? He's at this fancy business event, feeling like a total imposter. He'd scraped together $3,000 he didn't even have just to be there. A mentor named TJ saw he was lost and asked him this simple, life-changing question.
And the secret? It wasn't some complicated sales funnel or a slick closing technique. No, it was deceptively simple. It was this. Make people an offer so good they would feel stupid saying no.
So that's the thing. That one sentence completely flipped the script for him. He realized success wasn't about him becoming a better salesman. It was about creating a better offer. His entire focus shifted from how he was selling to what he was selling. The game had totally changed.
Hormozi calls this concept a grand slam offer. And armed with this idea, he doesn't just dip his toes in, he goes all in. I mean, just 2 days after hitting rock bottom, he launches a whole new company, Gym Launch. And guess how he funds it? On a credit card.
In these two images, man, they just say it all, don't they? This wasn't some slow, gradual climb. The turnaround was insane. It was immediate and it was explosive. He went from less than nothing to generating millions of dollars a month.
Okay, let's just pause on these numbers for a second. Seriously, in January, literally days after starting with nothing, the business pulls in over $100,000 in revenue. By December of that same year, it was bringing in over $1.2 million in a single month. That is the power of a Grand Slam offer.
So what is a Grand Slam offer, really? Well, you can see the formal definition here, but think of it like a recipe. It's not just about one thing like a good price. It's about how you strategically combine the value you provide, the bonuses you add, the guarantees you make, to create something that is just an overwhelming yes for your customer. And here's why this is such a game changer. It directly tackles the two biggest headaches that pretty much every entrepreneur faces. If you don't have enough clients, a Grand Slam offer creates undeniable demand. And if you don't have enough cash, it lets you charge a real premium because you're delivering so much value that price is no longer the main issue. It stops that race to the bottom.
Okay, so we've heard the story, we get the concept, but what does this all actually mean for you? How can you apply this kind of thinking to your own path?
So many people get into entrepreneurship for freedom, right? But the reality for a lot of people is summed up perfectly right here. You don't buy freedom, you buy yourself a job. And usually it's a much harder one, trading a 40-hour week for a 100-hour week with way more stress.
And if you look at Hormozi's business model today, it's the perfect example of this whole philosophy in action. First, he provides massive value, giving away his best stuff for free or at cost.
That earns trust because people get real results. And then he invests in or partners with the people who successfully use his frameworks to scale their businesses. He invests only in proven winners.
So here's the bottom line. If your business feels stuck, if you're constantly fighting over price, you're probably being treated like a commodity. Learning how to craft a truly irresistible, value-packed offer is the single most important skill you can develop to break free from that trap and build a business that's uniquely profitable.
And that really brings us to the one question that matters most. This is the question that could honestly change everything for your business. So think about it. What could you offer right now that would make your ideal customer feel absolutely stupid saying no?